is that Jesus is our best example. Jesus is our master, is our model of perfection. And Jesus came to earth to exemplify for us the divine laws, the God laws. So Jesus just showed everything that we should do, all the charity, all the compassion, all the love. But let's go and have a look in this little passage, which is called Jesus Calms the Storm. So first we're going to read and then break down and analyze some parts of it. Then he got into the boat and his disciples followed him. Suddenly, a furious storm came up on the lake so that the waves swept over the boat. But Jesus was sleeping. The disciple went and woke him, saying, "Lord, save us. We are going to drown." He replied, "You of little faith, why are you so afraid?" Then he got up and rebuked the winds and the waves, and it was completely calm. The men were amazed and asked, "What kind of man is this? Even the winds and the waves obey him." Matthew 8:23-27. So this is a little passage, and if we take to our days, we can think about the storms that we all face in our lives. There are many of them, right? Since Jesus' time, since the beginning of humanity, we always have lots of storms. And the most present, we can say, is really the global crisis that we all are feeling the presence, let's put it that way, which is COVID-19. Of course, some people are more affected than others. We all in the same storm. We're not all in the same boat because some people may have more protection, more resources than others. But this is a challenge, this is a storm, if we can compare to Jesus' time and to our time. Some other kind of storms could be the losses that we all have, could be a job, could be a person, could be a loved one. We all face challenges and storms throughout our life, some people more, some people less. Sickness, again, will be in different level for different people, but we all are going to face that. Our vices as well, our pride, our selfishness can come in shape and form of storm. When we are faced with them, we have lots of difficulties. But Spiritism explains to us why there are so many storms in our lives. We are still in the planet of trial and expiation, where in a way evil still predominates, more evil than good. And we all have the opportunity here to expiate the mistakes of the past and become better. So the planet Earth, we know, is not a place of happiness, even though we can have lots of moments of happiness, depends on how we take our life, how we face our challenge. But in a way, the planet Earth is a school for us, is a school with lots of lessons. And if we use them well, we're going to evolve, we're going to progress, and that's the goal. So 2 points. We are here and there are lots of storms, but Spiritism can explain to us why there are the storms. It's for our evolution, it's for our progress. But in this little story, Jesus was sleeping. And that may seem strange at first. Jesus, our master, our best example, our best model of perfection, how come Jesus was sleeping? It's strange, isn't it? But not if we try to understand that the Jesus that is sleeping is the Jesus inside us. Because we all have Jesus inside us. We all learn his teachings, his examples, and everything that he demonstrates when he came here. And also we can check on the Spirit's book that everything that Jesus demonstrates, we have in our conscience. Because we have God's laws in our conscience. In the question 621, when Kardec asked the spirits, where is the law of God inscribed? Where is written the law of God? And the answer is in the conscience. We all have our conscience. In this level of evolution that we are, we have the conscience. But of course, some of us are more aware of it, and some are less aware. And how do we become aware? Through study, through understanding. And we're going to talk a little bit about that as well, the importance of studying and understanding. So when we are in this big storm, many times this Jesus inside us is sleeping because we're not paying attention to Jesus' teaching. We're not connected to the divine laws. We're very far from it many times. And then what we do usually when we are in big trouble, we pray, we call Jesus, we call God, we call the Spirit, the superior spirits. A big example as well with this crisis, how many groups of prayer just started because of COVID-19? Everywhere, from many religions, from many nationalities, and this is great. This is really good. That means that somehow, even if it's because of a crisis, even if it's temporary, could be, hopefully not, this Jesus is awakening. And also the actions as well. How many acts of solidarity starts? Many groups trying to help those in need because they were more affected by the pandemic. Even in New Zealand, we saw some students going, I saw another day some students offering to go and do the grocery shopping for people that were at risk. Just go, do the shopping and go back. And some other people really raising money, trying to get food and all sorts. So that means in those people, in us, not those people because that means all of us, Jesus, many times he will wake up during the crisis to help us, to alert us, to remind us of the divine laws that we have already in our conscience. And then when Jesus is awake, he gave us a little advice. Actually, he asked a question in form that becomes advice. You of little faith, why are you so afraid? And we are afraid. We have lots of fear in ourselves still. And the fear, in a way, is the opposite of faith. Because of fear, we end up not having much a level of faith. So, for example, our tendency, because of evolutionary level still, as we said, we are in the planet of trial and expiation. We are spirits in evolution. Today, we are better than yesterday, but we still have lots to improve. And therefore, when we face problems, when we are in our daily life, our tendency is to fear, is to doubt, is to not believe that things will work out. Sometimes we don't believe in ourselves. Sometimes we don't even believe in God, in Jesus, or in others, or in the situations. So just some examples, practical examples of our life. When we start a project, it's really hard for us to truly believe that we'll be really successful. Maybe if we do a few steps, then we become more confident, and then we're more able to see that, okay, I can get there. And that could be at home, that could be at work. Even regarding skills as well, when we start learning something, swimming or playing an instrument, or could be all sorts of things. A personal example is when I start driving. The first time that I tried to drive, I didn't have faith that I could one day be a good driver, to be honest. For some other people it could be easier. Nowadays, I know that my boyfriend still holds on to the seat when I'm driving. He still don't have the faith, but I have faith that one day he will believe in that as well. But we all can think about examples of some challenge that we had that was so hard to have faith in the beginning. And little by little, we could believe in that. And of course, sometimes the fear of failing, sometimes we're going to fail. It's not always that. It's not because we have faith that we're going to get everything that we want. It's not how it works. But if we have real faith, we'll know that whatever is best is going to happen with us, as long as we do our part. Self-knowledge as well can be, in a way, a big storm when we start facing our difficulties, when we start facing our vices, and identifying that so many things we need to improve in ourselves. But our mission is to move from fear to faith, and we're going to explain this a little bit better. So here are just some of the examples how fear, our excess of fear, can actually feed on our vices. And just a little, just before that one, it's important to say that fear is important in our life. It's part of our life. So the right level of fear is important because we still have our instinct of conservation. So if we fear, for example, a dangerous situation, the fire, the heights, or something that can harm us, that's okay and that's healthy for us. We can't just have faith. Because I have faith, I'm just going to jump out of somewhere. No, it's not like that. So it has to be reasonable. But usually we have too much fear, an excess of fear. And when we fear that we are not going to have enough, then it's harder for us to share with others. That's the selfishness. We try to accumulate. And it's not only material. Could be that we fear to share our time because we are busy. We all are busy. Life tends to be even busier every single time. And if someone needs our help, what about my stuff? I don't know if I have time to share my time. I don't know if I have time to share my support because I myself, I'm struggling. I have so much on my plate. Why am I going to share my shoulder and my support as well? So this fear doesn't let us share things with others. And because we fear that we are not good enough, we start comparing ourselves with others. And that's a normal tendency. We are human beings. That's normal for us to compare with others. But when we do that too much, then there is a big danger of perceiving that everybody else is doing better than us. Everybody else have more, either more successful, have more money, have a better life. And with social media, this is even worse because most people will portray that they do amazing trips, that they have the best car. And with Photoshop, that's even worse, isn't it? Because everybody can look very different after a good filter or Photoshop as well. But that's our fear of not being good enough and be comparing ourselves. And that can cause jealousy. That can cause us to not liking the other person being successful. Also, if we have excess of fear of rejection, then we will try to show to others that we are better, that we can do better than them, that we have more as well, and that will be about our pride. Never letting others know that we have weaknesses as well. Sometimes we need help. We can help others, but sometimes we need to be looked after as well. But our pride sometimes doesn't let this happen. So it's trying to balance the fear and the faith. And our goal then would be to intensify our faith and let go of the fear of the doubts. It's not easy to do, and it's not going to be done overnight. But by studying and by doing our self-knowledge as well, we are going to get there. So we'll talk a little bit about it as well. So if we intensify our faith, then we're going to have the opposite of our vice, which are virtues that Spiritism, we can find a lot of charity, humility, on Gospel according to Spiritism and the Spirit's book as well. There are virtues that we do have little seed inside us, because when we are created by God, we all receive the potentiality, little seeds of all of this, abnegation, charity, kindness, compassion, and they will develop according to what we do in our daily life. So therefore, when we have more faith, will be more able to be charitable, to share, whether it's material, our time, our support, our smile sometimes. Maybe it's just 2 minutes to talk with someone and really ask them, how are you? How was your weekend? And especially pay attention to the answer. Because sometimes we ask, and then someone answer and ask something and, oh, what? Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. And really be present, not with the mobile or really like turning off, or be present and be with people. Nowadays it's really hard because it's busy, because it's so many things, but if we have our conscience, if we try to be more charitable, we'll be able to do that, to give more, donate from ourselves to others. When we work on our faith as well, instead of jealousy, instead of not liking that our neighbor has more than us or succeeds in something, or someone that we work with got a promotion, we'll instead have admiration. And we may feel, okay, that person got that. Maybe I can get that as well if I work hard, if I'm supposed to get that, but not wishing that the other person didn't get it. So, and this feeling we all have, maybe in different circumstances, maybe in different phases of life. And if we can also work on our faith, we'll be more able to be humble. When we really face ourselves, when we do our self-knowledge and recognize our weaknesses and our strengths, our vice and our virtues, because we all have them. And that's okay that someone else is better than me in some aspects. And it's okay if I'm better than someone else in other ones. It's okay if someone is an amazing musician and I'm not. But on the other hand, I can be really good in doing some painting, for example. We all here in similar levels, but we all have different strengths and we all have different weaknesses as well. But we only can find out if we analyze ourselves. If we're really honest and we're brave enough to say, okay, sometimes I'm jealous. I was jealous yesterday, but I don't want to be tomorrow. How can I fix that? How can I work with that? Or, okay, I was selfish on that time. How can I change that? So it's about being aware and study ourselves. And so we talked a bit about charity and humility. And you can see on gospel how important they are, both of them. And they are connected as well. So charity and humility, such is the only path to salvation. So it's the only way. Whether we like or not, we will be charitable. We will be humble. Some people will get there faster, some others will get there slower, but we all get there. On the other hand, selfishness and pride are the path to ruin. This principle is found to be formulated on the following precise terms. Love your God with all your soul and your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets are contained in these 2 commandments. And then comes the love, which is charity. So there is no escape from it, guys. And the more we work on our faith, we'll be able to intensify our charity and also our humility. But what is faith? We're just talking faith, fear. What are the characteristics of faith? So if we check chapter 19 on Gospel according to Spiritism, it's the whole chapter about faith, and we just separate a few parts here. Otherwise, we'd be here until midnight, so that's not the case. Faith, which is real and sincere, is always calm. It permits patience, which knows how to wait, because having its foundation in intelligence and understanding of life, it is certain of reaching the objective it aspires to. So, as we commented in the beginning, it's not overnight that we can intensify our faith. Does require calm, does require patience, because when we have a goal, if we have a project, will take time until we get there. And we need patience along the way. Also, the intelligence and understanding of life, other characteristics of faith, we need to understand why we have faith. We're going to talk a little bit about blind faith soon, which is a very common term, a very known term in the Spiritism as well. We need to understand. It's not only about, I have faith, I'm going to do, but why? Why we have faith. Understanding of the life and why we have faith. So calmness during the struggle is always a sign of strength and confidence. Very real sign of faith is when there is a struggle and we manage to remain calm. That's really hard, right? When we are in trouble, when there is a storm, we tend to not have calm at all. We tend to not remember Jesus. We tend to not have patience with anybody. But that's the goal, and that's the way that we can see if someone has faith, when they are calm during the struggle. So let's just tell now two little cases that illustrate about faith. Some of you probably know them already, but it's always a good reminder for us to know about this, to talk about these cases. So the first one is from a book called Beautiful Cases of Chico Xavier. I believe that would be the translation. Lindos Casos de Chico Xavier and Ramiro Gama. And the case is called Medication of Faith. So one day Chico was just at the Spiritual Centro in Brazil, and a young woman went to see him. And she said, Chico, I'm so sick that the doctor gave me this medication and I need to start taking today. But the problem is I don't have money to buy the medication. And could you please give me some money so I can get the cure? And Chico replied, I'm sorry, I don't have money either. And it'll take a few days until I get the next payment. But do you know what? You can ask for help. And she said, really? How can I ask for help? So what you do, you're gonna pray every day. And you're gonna get this prescription and cut in exactly 60 pieces, because she needed to take for 30 days in the morning and at night. So she needed like 60 pills to take. So instead of the pills, you're going to get the little paper and get some water and drink the water. But before that, every day you're going to pray with faith and believe that you're going to get the cure if you are supposed to get the cure. So the woman went back home and did exactly how Chico asked her to do. After a month, she came back and she achieved the cure. She didn't have the disease anymore. And then they prayed together. So she had to do her part as well. And she had the real faith in that case. The other case is from a little clip from Haroldo Dutra, which is a lecturer from Brazil. And he tells us when Francisco de Assis was going with his friends until a monastery. And it was very cold, much colder than Auckland and much colder than today, because it was a snowstorm on the way. So imagine at that time, Francisco and his friend was just one friend, many days walking in the cold weather without food. But finally, after a few days, they got to the place. And they were very happy because finally they would get some shelter, some food, and a warm place to stay. The friend knocked on the door, someone opened, and when the person came, said, what do you want? What are you doing here? And they introduced themselves, and the guy said, no, we're not waiting for you, and just closed the door. The friend just started getting desperate and crying a lot. What are we gonna do? We're gonna die. I can't believe this is happening with us. Francisco, on the other hand, he was jumping, he was so happy. He was exactly the opposite of the friend. Of course, the friend didn't understand. What's wrong with you? Why are you so happy? And Francisco explained to him, well, at the moment, we look around, there is nobody, nothing that can help us. That means that our lives, our situations are now 100% in God's hands. And what are good hands to be, right? God's hands. So, that's why I'm happy. It's up to God now. And they just sat down in front of the door. And a few hours later, the owner of the monastery came, apologized, and told them there was a mistake and they could come in. So they just some little examples for us to see that faith requires our part as well, our feeling, our knowledge, but require us believing and trusting in God, in Jesus, and in the plan for us as well. So a little bit more about faith from Gospel. In man, faith is an inherent sentiment of his future destiny. It is the consciousness he has of the immense faculties implanted in his inner self, a source in latent state, which is his duty to make blossom forth and grow by the action of his will. So first is a sentiment that we all have. Whether this sentiment is really, we can really fully understand or not. But as a spiritist, that gets a little bit easier to understand. This trust in the future life. The trust that this life is temporary. This life is just a little piece of something much bigger, of the big picture that we can't see. We can only see, it's like if we were in a series, you know those series from Netflix or from any other channel where there are many episodes. We can only see one season of it. This life is one season, but there are many others that were before, and there are many others after. So this certainty of our future life is the faith, is involved with our faith as well. But plus our consciousness, our knowledge of our own faculties, our potentialities. As we said in the beginning, we were all given seeds or potentialities of love, kindness, charity, compassion when we were created. And it's up to us to make them grow. It's up to us to make blossom forth and grow by the action of His will. So these seeds are not going to develop if we don't do anything. We need to develop them through our knowledge, through our actions, through our thoughts. And we all will develop them, whether it's now, whether it's later. So when we have faith, we'll be sure of these faculties and we'll be sure of this feeling as well. So now, in Spiritism, on the Gospel, we can also see a little differentiation between human faith and divine faith. So it says, faith is either human or divine, according to how man applies his faculties to the satisfaction of the terrestrial needs or to celestial and future aspirations. A man of genius who throws himself into the realization of a great undertaking will triumph if he has faith, because he feels sure of succeeding and that he is bound to reach the end envisaged. So we can think about all the big discoveries, all the technology, for example, the power. So someone had to have faith and work towards to achieve that. All the scientists that discover cures, that discover things that made our life easier. In the beginning, maybe they had doubts. In the beginning, maybe it was hard, but they need to apply faith to the human faith, to achieve something. We can bring also closer to us. We all had projects, or have at the moment projects in our life. And all the projects need some faith to happen. So most of us, at least in this room, we are from other country, right? We're not from New Zealand. And we need to have faith to make a decision to leave, I don't know what, so that's different for everybody. Some people left a job in Brazil, some people left the family, and we left things behind, and we had to have faith, even if it's a little bit, to change, to move. Could be moving to another city, could be moving a job, out of a job that we don't like, for example. So we can all think of examples that we had to apply the human faith towards a project, towards an objective. So does anyone know what company is that? What is it? Let's see if anybody can recognize. Not sure if I'm in front of anybody. This is one of the office of Amazon, that big company Amazon that does all, which I believe everybody knows Amazon, right? You go and buy online, you can find almost everything there. So this is only one of the headquarters that they have in America. But on the other hand, this is where it started. This is the little office where the CEO started the company. So what was his vision at the time? How did he apply his faith in order to achieve? And many times our faith towards a project will not only benefit us, but benefit people around us, regardless of the project. But Spiritism is, of course, interested in the human faith because our planet is evolving and is supposed to evolve. But we're very much interested in the celestial, divine faith. A good man believing in his celestial future, and that should be us, right? Good man or woman as well, but it's just the way it says. That should be us, Spiritists, because we do believe in our celestial future, right? Desiring to fill his existence with beautiful and noble actions, in the certainty of the happiness which awaits him. So we are certain that this is only temporary. This is only a little piece of our eternal life. Draws on his faith for the necessary force and so accomplish miracles of charity, devotion, and abnegation. So we're saying we need force. We need to be brave. It's not easy to have faith, to keep the faith. But what we can accomplish, charity, devotion, abnegation, and many other beautiful things. So I'm sure we all can think about examples of people that are currently in this planet and does lots of charity and have beautiful examples of faith. But the one that we separate today, I'm not sure if most of you might know Divaldo Franco. And there is this movie that was released, I believe, last year about his life, that talks about his life since his childhood until nowadays. And Divaldo really dedicates his life to humanity, to just help people, to just help others. He traveled to, I can't remember exactly the number, but many countries, I believe all the continents he has been, to talk about Spiritism, Jesus, love, charity, to help everybody. He came to New Zealand 4 times already and was really amazing to even feel his energy and to see the level of faith that this man has. And would you like to play a little clip about the main project of his life, which is called Mansão do Caminho? Let's see if I can get to it here.
Desde muito cedo, na religião católica, onde me encontrava na infância e na juventude, eu admirava muito a vida dos santos. E oportunamente eu li a respeito de Albert Schweitzer, o grande missionário da África. Também me interessaram muitas vidas de apóstolos, de pessoas que se entregaram totalmente ao ministério de Jesus Cristo na Terra. Os mártires, aqueles heróis anônimos, que somente ouvindo falar um pouco sobre Jesus, não trepidaram em dar a sua vida para que a mensagem dele se expandisse pelo mundo. E numa viagem que fizemos de trem, subitamente, eu tive como que um desmaio. E ao invés de continuar sentindo-me no trem, eu vi-me numa área bem ampla. E nessa área eu via uma comunidade enorme, movimentando-se. Achei aquilo muito especial, porque foi a minha primeira experiência de desdobramento da personalidade. Mas me chamou a atenção um senhor idoso, cercado de crianças. Eu me aproximei e notei que era eu próprio já envelhecido. Nessa ocasião eu estava com 17 anos e aquele homem era já septuagenário. Então eu vi uma voz que me disse: isto é o que farás da tua vida. Serás educador de almas. Quando Jesus morreu, os seus discípulos, Pedro, João, Tiago, edificaram uma casa de amor entre Jerusalém e Jope. E essa casa foi denominada como sendo a Casa do Caminho. Tentando copiar o gesto heróico, nós pensamos em fazer um lugar onde todos encontrassem albergue, oportunidade de amar, mas, sobretudo, fossem amparados e tivessem as suas dores diminuídas. Adquirimos uma área muito grande, de 80 mil metros quadrados, nos arredores da cidade de Salvador, e aí implantamos o nosso ideal. Iniciamos o sistema de casas-lares por volta de 1956, para atender a criança dando-lhe uma família. Essa comunidade é aberta. Nós criamos vários setores, serviços médicos, uma casa de parto, uma creche, depois um jardim, uma escola fundamental, profissionalizando as crianças em diversas escolas. Um curso médio, para que daqui possam diretamente ir para a universidade.
Yeah, so we just want to show this as a great example of faith, of how applied faith can, the results of it, because not only his life, but how he affects how many lives through charity, abnegation, and devotion. And there is a very important differentiation that Spiritism does regarding blind faith and reason faith. So in Português we would say fé raciocinada. So blind faith examines nothing and accepts without verification both truth and falsehoods, and at each step clashes with evidence and reason. So blind faith is really about whatever we hear, whatever we read, we just believe it straight away, without getting the information through our logic, our reason. And nowadays with fake news, we all know about them, right? Sometimes we look for some information and half of the page will say, yes, it is. The other half will say, no, it isn't. So we need to really be careful, and we need to really study and use our logic before we believe in something. What Spiritism proposed to us is the reasoned faith. Love God knowing why you love Him. Believe in His promise, knowing why you believe in them. Follow our counsel, convinced of the end to which we direct you and the ways by which we take you in order to achieve it. So basically, we need to know why we believe in God, why we believe in life after this life. Why do we believe? So we need to have the reasons, we need to really understand. And that's the faith proposed by Spiritism. But to achieve this faith, we need to study. We need to not only read, but study, and study a lot, and study again. So here, it's a great tool for it. All the codification books, so Spirit's book, the Medium's book, Gospel According to Spiritism, Heaven and Hell. So these are the 5 books of the main codification. We do have the books in our library and our bookstore as well, so just talk with us if you are interested. And if you read, if we study, we understand, we can fortify our faith, because we are faith based in reason, faith that makes sense for us. And some parts of these books that we read, we're not going to understand. It's too hard sometimes. And that's okay, because then we can study together, but we shouldn't accept something because it's in the book. We need to accept something after it makes sense for us. Some other recommendations are, and I'm sure Lucas would agree with me, he likes those books as well, The Life in the Spiritual World. So these books are fantastic as well, because they really describe what happens in the spiritual plane, what happens and how are things over there. So sometimes people say, oh, nobody knows what is going to happen after I pass away. There is nobody that can tell. Yes, we can read, we can understand, we can study. And this will help us to intensify our faith. Sincere faith is gripping and contagious. Preach through the example of your faith so as to transmit it to mankind. Preach through the example of your works so as to demonstrate the merit of faith. So preach our faith is basically not talking about faith, but it's through our works, it's through our actions. Nobody's going to believe me if I talk about faith. People will only believe if they see my faith in the works, such as we saw with Divaldo Franco. Preach to the firmness of your hope, so they may see the confidence which fortifies and put one in condition to comfort all life vicissitudes. So when we come during our life vicissitudes, people will see the faith when we get to this point. So then have faith with all that contains of beauty and goodness, with its purities and rationality. So again, the rationality, again, makes sense for us, we believe. Makes sense for us, we do it. Otherwise, not yet. So now just a little summary, because I feel that we talk about different things here and there. But in our little research, we find out, we didn't find out, we all know there are many storms in this life. And because we are in this planet of trial and expiation, so Spiritism explained that really well for us. Still, our tendency is to use more fear than faith, but we're not by ourselves. We have Jesus inside us, we have God, we have the help of our spiritual friends, but we do need to access that help through our conscience, checking on our conscience, the divine laws. Our goal is to intensify our faith through study and self-knowledge, so many books for us to read and study. And the faith is demonstrated through our actions, especially charity and humility. And because we start with a little story about Jesus, we're going to finish with a music about Jesus as well. So we're going to call Mani to play for us. And we have in Portuguese and also the English version, which is brand new. So if you know, you can sing as well. Or you can just follow the... Yeah.
Quando eu penso em ti, Jesus, a barra fica mais leve. Sei que tu andas comigo por onde eu for. É tão bom ter-te por perto, crer em ti me faz tão bem. Sem a tua companhia eu não sou ninguém. Mestre, amigo, estrela cintilante. Mestre, amigo, guia nossos passos vacilantes. Mestre, amigo, dai-nos forças para vencermos nossos erros e nos guarda sempre em tua paz. De novo, não. Quando penso em ti, Jesus, a barra fica mais leve. Sei que tu andas comigo por onde eu for. É tão bom ter-te por perto, crer em ti me faz tão bem. Sem a tua companhia eu não sou ninguém. Mestre, amigo, estrela cintilante. Mestre, amigo, guia nossos passos vacilantes. Mestre, amigo, dai-nos forças para vencermos nossos erros e nos guarda sempre em tua paz.
Now in English, guys.
Jesus, when I think of you, my burden becomes much lighter. With you the road gets brighter wherever I go. Happiness grows when you're near. There is no reason to fear. There is no reason to fear. There's no defeat. Faltou uma parte da letra.
That's okay.
Friend and master, you are a shining star. Friend and master, guide me so I know I will keep my faith in you for as long as it takes. Friend and master, you are a shining star. Friend and master, guide me so I know I will get far. Friend and master, give me the strength to overcome my mistakes. I'll keep my faith in you for as long as it takes.
Cool. Thank you so much, Mani, for doing the translation and playing and everything. We have a new song that we can sing in the other activities as well now. Cool. So do we have 5 minutes for comments or?
Yeah.
Questions?
Yeah, so questions or comments? I have faith in you guys that that if you had any questions you will ask or any comments, but otherwise that's fine as well. Yeah? Okay. Thank you guys.